Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the EsportsEarnings Casters Invitational. My name is Fear Dragon. I'm joined by Harstem. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing buzzing. What about you, Fair Dragon?
I am doing fantastic. We have some really awesome names left over in this tournament as we hop into our round of 8 match for today. It's going to be PiG versus RotterdaM, as you guys could see earlier on during all the kind of build up, the wait. It's going to be a pretty cool PvZ, although I think RotterdaM is streaming for those who want his perspective. But maybe I don't know, man. There may be a little bit of salt involved on his perspective right now because he hasn't had the best ladder session today.
No, and that could be a factor for sure in the upcoming match. Rotti, I believe, went like 210 or something ridiculous in the past, 12 games. So not looking too hot today on the ladder, and he didn't really have a lot of time to calm down, clear his mind. But I think with Rotti's mindset, the positivity overflow, he should be fine. And
Yeah.
on the other end, we have Pig, who is traveling through Europe as we speak. He went to visit some friend's wedding, I believe, and he's playing from Jorzar's place in London right now. So, yeah, a little bit of some background info there, both of the players.
Yeah, it should be. I guess it seems like a mild disadvantage for both players. Hopefully, it just sort of evens out. We are going to be playing on the European server, though, and that's one of the benefits because Pig is an Australian. So normally, one of the players would be stuck with some pretty bad lag issues, but now, since they're both in Europe, should get a pretty ideal situation lag-wise, or latency-wise. But later on in the broadcast, we are going to be covering Artosis versus Todd, which is a Protoss versus Protoss that should be quite fascinating. I really have no idea what to expect on that one because Artosis played some pretty damn solid games yesterday. He played some really solid games versus TKL, but versus TKL, he did go 2-1 in one of the series that he played. So maybe some
Yeah,
a
but
little bit of
that was mainly the early game, I feel like.
mhm.
Like if the Artosis was so far behind after the early game, and he still almost came back, and everything else he showed in PvP so far really looked incredible. Like it really was something else. He played a lot of different styles. He's capable of playing Phoenix, Chargelot, Archon, Immortal. He's capable of playing Disruptor into Carrier. This man can do it all, Fair Dragon.
I'm looking forward to it because Artosis, I know he is a man of the late game. So, gonna be looking to probably try and take Todd there. We'll see if Todd wants to play along with that. And of course, the other match that we'll be covering today will be Yogo versus the winner of our first series today, Pig versus RotterdaM. So it's gonna be a
Right,
Zerg
right.
versus something. Are we gonna have 2 Zergs in the semis, or are we gonna have 3 Protoss instead? Should be fun
Yeah,
to
yeah.
find out. Unfortunately,
Uh,
no Terrans there though.
no, unfortunately not. I'm kind of hoping for a PvZ semifinal between Yoga and Rotterdam. Of course, Rotterdam being from the same country, a bit of a special connection there. So
Mhm.
cheering for my boy for sure. However, that might be a little too Protoss heavy in the bracket for some of the viewers. So I'm fine with either, basically.
Yeah, I think either one should be pretty fun. I'm also definitely really interested to see because I know that Pig is most well known and probably strongest by a large margin with Zerg. But I know he's been playing a lot of the other races, and he's mentioned and shown that he's gotten Grandmaster with all 3 of the races. So if he really wants to, he could actually try and bust something out if he comes up with any kind of unique or clever strategies with the other races. But with that being said, I do want to give a huge thank you, of course, again to our the sponsors that made this event possible. First of all, Matcherino. If you guys are interested, there is a Matcherino page that you can contribute to the prize pool. It's already up to $5,279, which is actually pretty insane. But of course, if you want, you don't have to just contribute for nothing of your own gain. There's all these wonderful people who have already contributed. Total Biscuit on that list as well. Was that Total Biscuit buying the shirt Rifkin t-shirt? It might have been.
Yeah, definitely. He was very hyped about the Rifkin t-shirt. I've never seen someone so happy over a t-shirt.
But of course, you too can earn some or own some of those t-shirts, as I believe we got plenty of them available. You got Let's see. Of course, I know that RotterdaM has a T-shirt somewhere in this list. There's Pig's T-shirt as well, and of course, I
Yeah,
believe there's Coca, Rifkin, RotterdaM, Wardy, Maynard. Maynard definitely just really taking the lead of the pack, though. The most T-shirts sold. It's the Dreads, man.
yeah, it's interesting. Maynard sold so many. Todd sold a couple as well. Fair Dragon still on the bottom. Your play not inspiring enough for people to buy your T-shirt.
Yeah, even Zombie Grub got some. I'm at least tied with the Wardy though, so
Yeah, that's something.
yeah, tied for last place. That's the benefit of being in last place is you're often tied. You're usually not just there by yourself.
Yeah, that is a good thing. It's shared misery.
Shared misery. That's the best kind of misery. Misery
Yeah.
loves company. But of course, big shout out to our other big sponsor, which is of course EsportsEarnings. And if you guys are interested, be sure to check out EsportsEarnings over on their website. You can find any kind of players that you want. So Harstem, do you have any players in mind? I'll let you pick either Pig or Artos. Or sorry, we already did Artosis yesterday. Pig or RotterdaM. We can look up one
We're
of
going
these
into
two.
Pig.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
This man has a good long history in StarCraft too. So you can take a look and it'll show you all the different pigs that are available. There's apparently a Pig of the Hut, an American player that uh, has won a lot of money actually. But $17,000. We're looking at this pig though, our Australian Zerg player. Got some nice history. Apparently won the most amount of money in 2015. He actually won quite a bit in 2012 as well. I guess that was back
Yeah,
when
he
the 2012 WCS season was happening with the regionalization.
yeah he made a couple of bucks when he was 23. Made some money when he was 26. He's been living the life for sure now. Of course, a well-known caster and content creator in the StarCraft scene. So that money does not show up on the esports earnings. Let's try to do another one. Another player of
Yeah,
your
sure.
choice.
Let's see. You know what? EsportsEarnings is all about the money, so of course we got to go with SOS. Let's see how Mr. $100,000 man has been doing. Ooh, there are a lot of people that come up under SOS. Let's see if we can find him. Here we go.
Apparently, your mic is a bit off.
Yeah, I think I just adjusted it a little bit. We'll see if this is okay though. Please let us know, guys, if the microphone levels still need a little bit of adjusting. Okay, so taking a look at SOS, man, this guy. It's all about those years that he ends up winning, like over $100,000, and you're like, okay, I know that you won at least 100,000 of those dollars from one event.
Man, that's so sick. When he was 20, he made 234K.
What
That's
do you
actually
do? What
insane.
do you do with your money, Harstem? Do you just
Put
put it
it
in the
on the
bank?
Yeah,
That's
you
the
save
smart way
it.
to do it.
Yeah, I don't think SOS saved all of it. If I was like, mate, if you're making this much, you got to spend some. You got to live a little.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you got some money to spare, I think, when you make that much. And he's still making money. Still making
Just
some.
you still need a volume boost, apparently.
Okay. Well, hopefully this will do, and we'll be okay with that. But if not, I'll just try and play around with the settings a little bit more. But okay, I think that the players are starting to get ready with their vetoes. Pig already. By the way, this is going to be a best of five for those who missed out on yesterday's broadcast. Round 8 is going to be entirely best of five. I believe the semifinals will also be best of five, and then the finals will be best of 7. But
Yes, I would believe so too. All
yeah,
right, so starting map will be Odyssey. After that, Ascension to Ire. Map 3, Blood Boil. Map 4, Sequencer. And map 5, Abyssal's Reef. Pig vetoed Proxima, and RotterdaM vetoed Defender's Landing. So we got our maps, I think, pretty standard vetoes.
yeah, I'm a little bit surprised to see Abyssal Reef so late as a pick for RotterdaM though, because I usually think of that as being a pretty good Protoss map that Protosses
but
really like to play.
Rotti plays a little bit different than the other boys in class. Yeah, he likes to play his own style. So he also has a different idea about the maps, I think. He might not even really mind that Proxima is gone, but I'm not too sure about that. That's really one of the main things that Rotti has going for him. That it's very hard to get any practice against his style because no one really plays like him. It's pretty much the same in PvT. I'm not too sure about his PvP, but his PvT and his PvZ are really quite different than any other Protoss that I've seen play, and that's a big strength. Like his builds, they just aren't the meta, so it's very difficult to prepare for someone like RotterdaM.
Yeah, I know he especially is well known for doing a little bit of Phoenix DT stuff. He loves his Phoenix. If there's anything I have to characterize about his play is that he really enjoys making a lot of those Phoenix, a lot more than most people would.
Yeah, for sure. And in combination with DTs, they can be powerful unless the Zerg manage to get the critical mass of Roaches, Hydras, and Overseers, especially Overseers, and most of the time they're fine. It's a little of a momentum-based strategy. Seen it work a couple of times, seen it lose a couple of times as well. So I'm very curious if that's what we're going to see. Like I said, first map is going to be Odyssey. Pick that as his first map. Players are ready, or well, at least RotterdaM is ready. Pick should be getting ready as well. And then we'll hop straight into our first game, Fair Dragon.
Yeah, just making sure that we have all of the casters for all the different languages. If English isn't your native language, then of course there are some other channels available for you. And of course, I mentioned this before as well, but RotterdaM is streaming his own perspective. So if you want to see RotterdaM and his perspective, of course, I really advise you not to try and bring spoilers or anything into his chat. I think he has all of his donations and all that other stuff turned off right now so that he doesn't get spoiled, since he's not really looking at chat then. Feel free to hop over to his channel as well. Pull up the dual stream. But it does sound like we may be waiting a little bit longer just to see if Naruto and some of the other foreign language commentators show up. Okay. Well, Harstem, you know what we can always do? We can always look up more
play
people.
Rock, paper, scissors?
We could play rock, paper, scissors. But I don't feel like playing ZVZ right now. We could look up some people on EsportsEarnings.
We could also guess how much money we think someone earned, and then see who's closest.
Okay, I like this.
And then the winner in total has to pay the other guy at dinner next time. You get me?
The winner in total, okay.
Yeah, like so we add like every time you win, you get a point. We play. We have a few more minutes. We play 5, and then the winner of the best of 5 gets a dinner next time. Sounds fair?
All right. You're on. Dinner at Valencia. So, who do you want to go with first? All right.
No, you pick the players, because I know a couple of players earning, so it would be cheating if I would just say them.
Okay. Let's do Jon Snow. American Zerg player.
24K.
24K? I think you're pretty close. I'm gonna say 22K. We're not doing prices right? We're just doing closest?
Yeah, closest.
Okay. We got Jon Snow. Ooh, 26.
Easy. 1-0.
I feel like this is going to end poorly for me.
Yeah, I think this is a free dinner for me. Second one. Give me a second one.
Okay, let's see. Let's do True. Korean Zerg player.
67.
67?
Yeah.
I think he's won more than that. I'm going to say 80. Well, that doesn't seem... Oh, there's... Okay. 125,000, actually.
Okay.
1-1, Harstem. 1-1.
All right. Next player, Fair Dragon.
Let's see. How about we do de Muslim?
Sure. Wait, but that's going to include Warcraft 3, isn't it?
Yeah, that's you know what? That's one of the beauties of esports earnings is that we could separate it out and only do the StarCraft earnings very easily.
Okay. 35,000.
Okay. This is gonna be the last one because we are getting started.
Okay. So winner gets the dinner.
All right. Oh shoot! I forgot to make my bet. I just hit enter. Shoot. Okay. We'll do a different one. We'll do a different one.
What was it though?
It was 31,000. You were pretty close.
Oh my god, I was so close. This should count as a win. Unbelievable.
Okay, you know what?
Okay, let's
you know
do
what?
that.
We'll do the last one. We'll do the last one after our first match. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
We'll close this out. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we are, hopping into game number 1 of our final round of 8 match. We're gonna be starting up here on the top left-hand corner of the map, top of the orange Protoss player. Give it up for RotterdaM from the Netherlands. And his opponent spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Zerg player from Australia. Give it up for PiG, who I believe is still on Exile 5. I'm actually not sure. I don't think he ever left.
What it looks like to me is in Pig Pan at the moment, so it's gonna be Pig Pan Pig Pan Pig for me. And of course, RotterdaM playing on his ladder account, the Notorious, the McGregor's nickname, big UFC fan.
Yeah.
Him and Told, massive UFC fans. Tend to watch a lot of it as well. A little bit of an early scout coming out here for RotterdaM. Sees the hatchery first going down, returns home with his probe, and decides to throw down a Nexus first as a response. So playing it pretty safe, just making sure that the hatchery does go down before he throws down his own Nexus first.
Yeah, so you were talking a little bit about RotterdaM's unique style and the way that he likes to play. So how would you describe that? I know that we mentioned a little bit about Phoenixes and DTs, but do you feel like there's better ways to react to that kind of play versus other ways that oftentimes in the meta may kind of suffer versus it?
I'm not sure how much he still plays the Phoenix DTs because I believe he was switching away from it a little bit. But the thing with Phoenix DT is it's very momentum based. So if you can get a lot of damage in, if you can keep trading, it's very good for the Phoenix DT player. However, if the Zerg just gets to go to 66 or 70 drones and manages to start producing units from there on, doesn't lose a lot of drones, doesn't lose a lot of units in silly trades, then if he gets to like 160, 170 supply and he can just attack move across the map and basically win the game, because DTs really aren't that great at fighting. They're extremely expensive. It's really all about sniping those overseers, trying to keep the drone count low for RotterdaM if he plays this style. But I'm not sure if that's what we're going to see. We do see a Zealot coming out first and only a single gateway. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see this followed up with a Stalker to try and deny some scouting. Pig, on the other hand, just getting a standard third base, regular timing, no Overlord speed for him this game.
Yeah, we do have the Twilight Council also dropping down for RotterdaM, so he's going to eventually be tacking up into something. There is going to be an Adept being made, so not really going to be able to deny too much scouting for the Overlords unless he makes a Stalker after this. But one of the things I'm really looking forward to seeing is, I know Pig, he's done a lot of streaming and he plays a lot of different playstyles and does his dailies, but one thing that he's definitely, I can categorize him as, is versatile. He loves doing all kinds of stuff, including having days where he literally only cheeses his opponent. He does cheesing for 6-7 hours in a row, but he also plays the macro games.
Yeah, very volatile player, of course. Pig managed to see everything with the one link that he sent in front. He also managed to save it, so not losing anything for that valuable information. Saw the Adept, saw the Twilight Council. He didn't see it research, but I think it's okay to assume that this most likely is going to be Adept speed, knowing RotterdaM. He isn't the kind of guy to go for a DT drop or an Archon drop. Rotti also already getting a Mothership core, which is just a very safe play. Don't see this a lot. 2 Adepts making their way across the map right now. What does Pig have at home, Fear Dragon?
Well, he's got a Roach Warren on the way, and he's got, what is that, 4 Lings and a couple of Queens, but he could definitely take a little bit of damage over here. Luckily for PiG, I would say, the Adepts are headed over to the 3rd expansion with the Shades, but they do find some more drones inside the mineral line. 3 workers, 4 workers, 5 workers might end up falling, and the Adepts still haven't lost anything past their shields.
Yeah, this is a really interesting move-out timing by RotterdaM. PiG still had his links on the other side of the map, so they weren't really of any help. And trading 2 Adepts for 5 drones at this stage of the game, that's just a brilliant trade. And now it seems like PiG wants to put some pressure on RotterdaM, try to get back into this game, try to get a couple of kills, maybe cancel the 3rd base. Build 7, 8 roaches right now. Actually, already has 5, 7 more on the way. So we'll go up to 13 roaches, and most likely we'll follow that up with a lot of links. But RotterdaM's mothership core was so early. The moment these roaches arrive on the other side of the map, I feel like he'll be able to have like three overcharges. That should be enough to be safe against this kind of pressure.
And not only that, but he's also been pretty conservative with these photon overcharges. When the early lings showed up, kind of was very patient about it. He didn't just immediately gut reaction photon overcharge. He waited until his warp gate was done. He warped in a couple of Adepts and pushed things back kind of naturally. But here we go. The Roach is moving across the map at the same time as the Adepts move into the 3rd expansion. Now, there's not a lot of drones over here, but he does snag himself a queen. The question is, does RotterdaM need these Adepts at home to help defend? Well, actually, all the Lings are going to head back to try and deal with the Adepts. All the Roaches try and get some damage done.
Yeah, and this is actually quite good for RotterdaM, forcing the Lings back. Of course, they will be able to make it across the map very quickly, but this also, RotterdaM knows right now what's happening. Starting an Immortal immediately, has 3 Zealots warped in, and a couple more gateways on the way. Charge being very close to being finished. If he loses this pylon, however, that could be big, because without an Immortal, fighting these roaches is going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, RotterdaM's only on 3 warp gates. 4th and 5th warp gates are going to be finishing up. A lot of the workers are starting to fall here for RotterdaM, though. He still is up about 10 workers, and the Lings are trying to flood into that natural expansion. The Zealot is going to end up falling very, very soon. The Mothership Core just does not have enough energy for a photon overcharge. A photon cannon does finish up 2 photon cannons inside the natural expansion, but it seems like both of them are going to go down. And is this how we see RotterdaM lose game number 1? He's been broken, and that's too much. GG gets called. PiG takes game number 1.
Yeah, PiG going for the kill with this Roach Ling build, which we used to see a lot against early Twilight Council builds. I think the main issue for RotterdaM here was that he activated 2 overcharges in his natural base, and after that he only had 1 overcharge left to defend his 3rd, where the Robo was located. So once the Immortal doesn't finish, it's going to be a very, very, very rough time. At the same time, the 7 Adepts on the other side of the map were putting in some work. We're killing a bunch of Lings, we're killing some drones, but it doesn't really matter for PiG if he has 36 drones or 28 drones. Like, he's still going to commit to the all-in, because that's really what it was. It wasn't just something to kill the 3rd with, like I initially thought. It really was to kill RotterdaM completely with. So, yeah, a little bit unlucky there for RotterdaM with his Robo positioning on the 3rd, only having 1 pylon to power it as well. But I think Game 1 does show that he has some nice tricks prepared, like with the 2 Adepts. PiG really didn't see that coming. So yeah, I'm still feeling Rotti for this series, Ravi.
Okay, well, we'll get ready to hop into game number 2. It's going to be on Ascension to Ire, which has a very similar base layout for the at least first 3 bases, and then things really start to get a bit more different in terms of how things are going to play out. Get all the casters in here and get RotterdaM set up in the right slots. But yeah, I do agree. I think that RotterdaM set himself up to be in a really nice spot, but unfortunately for RotterdaM fans, just wasn't quite able to hold on versus the big Roach pressure. Maybe that is just about where he spends those photon overcharges and everything.
Yeah. Okay. Could you invite me to the game one more time?
Yeah, sure. I think there's a weird bug still where I'll invite someone, but it doesn't actually show up for them for a solid like 10-15 seconds. So we're just sitting here waiting for you to get the invite.
All right, perfect. Here we go. Yeah, a little bit of a sad first game there for Rotti. Hope it doesn't tilt him too much. Hope he can keep his head cool, get back into the game. First game didn't work out, but to be fair, Odyssey isn't really a map Rotti is going to win anyway. Like, this map is so difficult for Protoss against Zerg. I think this is one of the better maps for a Protoss player to lose. It's like, well, I was kind of expecting on losing that anyway. Now we're going to play some real maps after this. And if that's the mindset with Rotti going in, then it should be fine.
Okay, well, I think that we're getting the last person into the game. Getting started. Ascension Ire, ladies and gentlemen. But again, reminder that you can check out those shirts over on Match Arena if you're interested in buying and showing a little bit of support for RotterdaM as he's sitting down 0-1. Same thing, of course, if you're a PiG fan, can show a little bit of support for him, as well as Artosis and Todd, who are currently sitting in the semifinals. Yogo, the other player in the semifinals. I don't actually know if he has a shirt available. I think he's one of the few people that didn't actually get a shirt.
Yeah, I think there was 10 people. I don't think Yogo has one. Imra doesn't have one. A couple don't have it, so... But that's all irrelevant now, Fear Dragon, because we're in game number 2, the EsportsEarnings Casters Invitational, the final quarterfinals. After that, we'll be going into the 2 semifinals. Of course, the top one's going to be Artosis versus Todd, and Yogo versus the winner of this match. Right now, PiG is up 1-0, and we're starting on Ascension to Ire.
We're going to be starting down in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, atop the blue Zerg player sitting up 1-0. Give it up for PiG. His opponent spawning up in the top left-hand corner of the map. We have the orange Protoss player. It's RotterdaM.
Similar build order once again from RotterdaM, scouting with that pylon scout and then just throwing down the Nexus. Big opening, same way as well. Probably pretty happy with the way the first game went. However, this map is going to be a lot more difficult for him than Odyssey was ever going to be. Odyssey, of course, is a map where the fort base is very difficult to take for Protoss, in combination with the gold that the Zerg can take. It's going to be a rough ride for any Protoss player there. So losing that map, not that big of a deal for RotterdaM. Ascension to Ire, however, longer rush distance. The first 4 bases, relatively easy to take as a Protoss player. The only thing you really need to worry about is your building placement at your 3rd base. You can make a nice little wall there, a couple of cannons, and you should be good to go. But curious to see what RotterdaM is going to pull out of the hi-hat this game.
Yeah, in that last game, we also saw a very aggressive reaction from PiG, going for the mass swell of roaches and lynx. And do you think that was more of just a reaction to the worker damage he took? Or do you feel that was possibly just his game plan in general for the map?
Yeah, it really could be. There's no way to predict that for sure. However, he already was building the Roach Warren, and a Roach Warren is something we don't really see anymore these days in CVP. So I guess it probably was his game plan already. And then losing the drones, I was like, well, maybe he just wanted to go and cancel the 3rd initially, but after losing 5-6 drones, I was like, well, I guess I need to kill him now with it, because there's no way I'm macroing out of this. And he probably was right about that. So we see the same build with this exact same wall for RotterdaM starting right now. So most likely going to see the 2 Adept move out as well again, because he is chrono boosting that Adept after he got the initial Stalker, the initial Zealot, sorry.
Yeah, we'll see if PiG is better prepared this time, if he makes any kind of adjustments to his build, or even just the positioning of those lings, those early lings that he has, because, yeah, again, he took quite a bit of damage to those 2 Adepts in the first game. But Evolution Chamber on the way this time. Okay. This is not a bad map for some Overlord drops.
Yeah, it really isn't. And I think that's what we're going to see. 4 more lings in production right now, which will get the total up to 8. And I think his goal is to drop as the 2 Adepts start moving out. But he's going to be a little bit too late for that. 2 Adepts do spot those 4 lings on the map. Actually don't kill a single one. And I think Rotti might be too scared at this point, just decides to go back. So yeah, there's the Shade. Decides to Shade back. Mothership Core does spot the Overlord, which got morphed into a Dropper Lord. But I don't think that's going to be too successful after it's been spotted.
Yeah, do you think he's still... I mean, it looks like PiG is still going to go for it. How much damage can you really get done after it's already been scouted? There aren't actually too many units around for RotterdaM. He's got the 2 Adepts and the single Zealot. Zealot probably wants to stay at the wall to prevent any additional lings from just kind of swarming on into the natural. And it seems like 1 Adept actually doing a pretty good job of cleaning some of these up. Probe's being pulled, and he catches almost all the lings.
Yeah, 2 more links going into the natural. Do get a single probe kill. Would be surprised if they get one more. So definitely good defense here by RotterdaM. However, he did start the Forge. Maybe afraid of something, or ooh, double Stargate. So this is most likely going to be his famous Phoenix into DT build. Pig, on the other hand, building 12 roaches right now.
Yeah, I don't feel like Pig wants to wait around for RotterdaM to get up to that mass air army that RotterdaM's going for.
I actually think these are defensive roaches rather than aggressive
Really?
roaches. He has a decent drone count, and you can't really attack into Stargate units, or he seems to be wanting to do so, but that seems like a massive error. Stargate, like roaches, don't shoot up. That's one of their main weaknesses, Fear Dragon.
Yeah, he has seen one Stargate. He hasn't seen the second, so maybe he believes this is just gonna be for. Because I know that there's been some Protoss players that have made like a single Phoenix or something, but usually it's a Phoenix first, not a Twilight Council before that.
Yeah, but even with Phoenixes, he might be able to. Oh, here we go. Cancels one Phoenix, starts a Void Ray. He does have 3 overcharges ready, so if he uses them a little bit conservatively, he should be just fine here, I feel like. Just get a lot of time, just get the Void Ray out. First Phoenix is out now. Oh, and he uses all 3 overcharges on his natural. And I think that might actually be a little bit dangerous, as his third is very vulnerable now. I think he's going to need to cancel that if Pig decides to right-click that. But
Cool.
Pig does not decide to do that at all. He's going into the natural. I'm not sure if this is the correct decision. Nice force shoot coming out of RotterdaM, trying to save some of his pylons. One cannon finishing up, and here's the Void Ray. And the Void Ray should be able to kind of clean up those roaches, but there might be a lot of links. At the same time, a bunch of adepts on the other side of the map doing a lot of damage to Pig's economy. So Pig being put in a very nasty position right now where he needs to do a lot of damage, and he's not really doing that damage.
Oh, I love this. RotterdaM even splits up those 4 adepts between the 2 bases, so maximizing worker kill count. Whereas Pig, he's doing some okay damage, but all the lings inside the main base have been cleaned up. The 3rd expansion roaches are doing a little bit of damage, but it doesn't seem like they're going to get anywhere close to killing off that 3rd. RotterdaM definitely getting the better end of those trades.
Yeah, definitely. And his 3rd stays alive as well. So I really feel like Pig could have just right-clicked on the 3rd base and gone back home. But even then, he did take a lot of damage from those adepts. Really an interesting call by RotterdaM, which seemed very risky, but in the end really did pay off, I feel like. He killed 11 drones with those 6-7 adepts, and now he really has the army that he wants. And this is one of those scrappy games in which Phoenix DT can really shine, because there is no real anti-air. There's 3 queens. There is no spore still. And there's already, how many Phoenixes on the map? There's 3 Phoenixes on the map, 2 Void Rays on the map, 2 more Phoenixes in production, and the Dark Shrine is finished. So this is the dream scenario here for RotterdaM.
Okay, well, first he's going to come in with another wave of these adepts, and the Void Ray also joins the fray. If he gets a little bit of damage done on that queen, the Void Ray is going to go more or less uncontested. Phoenix also come in to pick up the queen, and yeah, this is going to be a very, very abandoned 3rd expansion pretty soon. The Void Rays can also take this out pretty quickly.
Yeah, and there's only 3 Hydras right now. I think Rotti could just pick those up with the Phoenix, decides not to. Instead goes for the Overseers and the Overlords. Hydras that are being built at the 3rd base die immediately. Rotti, seeing the Hydra count, should be able to say, alright, I'm just gonna kill all your Hydras here. And what is your anti-air at this point? The answer, Fear Dragon, is basically nothing. There is 3 Hydras, 2 Queens. Pig already lost 21 probes. 4 adepts shading into the natural base of Pig. This looks to be Rotti's game for sure.
Yeah, 3rd expansion ends up falling, and the Phoenix and Void Rays are still alive and kicking. The Adepts may end up falling, but behind this, RotterdaM is just continuing to produce out of those 2 Stargates. He's getting up +1 weapons, he's getting up charge, and additional gateways for the kind of big transition in case there's going to be some kind of big counterattack with Roach Hydra. He's still going to have more than just Phoenix around, but even the DTs come into the mix now. Going to make it more difficult for Pig to ever try and take an expansion.
Yeah, and the Phoenix count is just massive. They already have +1 as well. 2 DTs got warped in. 1 DT is working on the 3rd base right now. Where's the 2nd DT? I was just making sure there's no 4th base going up. So, yeah, this is just a terrible situation for Pig. How is he ever going to take a 3rd base? Rotti already getting his 4th up, securing it with a couple of pylons, starting his +1 ground attack. Charge already finished, Adept Speed already finished. I think Rotti is just going to gear up for a big push and kill Pig.
Yeah, absolutely. There's only 2 Overseers out, and I think quite a few Overseers have already died this game. Oh, actually, only one. Only one Overseer has been picked off so far by the Phoenix, but again, it's one of those extra little concerns that Pig constantly has to have about making sure he controls his Overseers well, because this is a lot of Phoenix. This actually might be enough Phoenix to almost one-shot an Overseer, so you lose the Overseers, you lose your detection, and I really don't think Pig wants to have to make spore callers right now.
I think he kind of needs to. I don't even think these Hydras would be enough if Rotti just decides to fight with them. Like, what does Pig really have at this point? Take a look at the supply. You see it's 91 supply for Zerg against 151 for Protoss. And with those army compositions, Zerg is the one that wants to be up in supply. Rotti starts taking down his rocks at his forward base. And I feel like he's getting ready for the final push of the game.
Yeah. There is, of course, we also see that patented RotterdaM expansion style where he constantly just expands into his opponent, ignoring the more typical bases that I feel like we end up seeing from a lot of Pros players. But Pig's coming around and actually catching Roddy out of position a little bit, but that just means that Pig might end up being sandwiched. He's going to escape out of there in time.
I don't think that's a definitive escape, though. Like,
Yeah.
these reinforcements are getting picked up. Queen, the Hydras. You know what the bad thing about Overseers is, Fear Dragon? They die very quickly against 60 plus 1 Phoenixes. And then you can't see the DTs. And how can you fight something which you can't see? Well, the quick answer is you can, but even without that, it wouldn't have been enough for Pig. Oh, GG, well played. Rotti ties up the series 1-1.
Okay, we're headed to a game number 3 with it, as you said, tied up series 1-1. So I know that I was a little bit concerned that RotterdaM was not going to be feeling informed, that he wasn't going to be looking on point, but I really don't have too many complaints about how he played that last game out. Looked really solid.
Yeah, solid game by him for sure. Good defense against the all-in with a little bit of a base trade-ish move. Adepts on the other side really paid its dividends, though. Kept his third base alive, secured it with the Void Race, and then smooth sailing from there on out. And that was an impressive win for RotterdaM, and an important one as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we're hopping into the next game. It seems like it may be on Blood Boil and Harstem.
It is on Blood Boil, yeah.
Yeah, this is not a normal map. This is a very strange map, and I feel like with the way that we've been seeing RotterdaM play, a lot of the things that he likes doing, granted he's been doing a lot of the adept harassment as well, but a lot of the builds that he seems to like going for, most pros like going for, involve a lot of gas-heavy units, and that's not always an option on Blood Boil.
Yeah, it really isn't. It's a different map than the others for sure. It's a bit funny because your third base is so easy to defend as Protoss player. So you're thinking by yourself, man, this must be a good map for me. But then you check your natural, you only have 1 gas, 20 mineral patches. Then on the other hand, prisms are extremely strong and hard to spot for Zerg on this map. They have so many locations in which they can just sit and not be attacked. That is very difficult for the Zerg to ever really move out, but I don't think we're going to see some kind of double prism style, which we saw from Artosis against Yogo. I think Rotti is going to stick to his guns, open up with Nexus first, 2 Adept move out into Adept speed, and after that we'll see what the game brings. Could be Phoenix DT, could just be Charged Archon, but I think it's going to be more in that direction.
Yeah, RotterdaM has also just been constantly going for these more aggressive bases, the more forward bases, I should say. So maybe he'll even just save that in-base natural expansion for a little bit. I've seen a couple players opt to do that. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen, hopping into game number 3. We're going to be starting up in the top left-hand corner of the map. Top of the orange Protoss player, able to tie up the series 1-1. Give it up for RotterdaM. And his opponent spawning down here. On the south side of the map, we have the red Zerg player. Give it up for Pig from Australia. So for those who have not been keeping up with Blood Boil and all the kind of crazy maps, we do have Blood Boil, the in-base natural expansion. 10 mineral patches, so 2 more than usual, but only one gas geyser, so your gas income can be a little bit limited if you go for the in-base natural, which Roddy seems like he wants to go for. As there's going to be very fast Nexus. Nexus first.
Yeah, pretty expected. This is the first game he doesn't scout though. Blood Boy, of course, you feel a lot more safe than on the other maps with the in-base natural, like you mentioned. So going to be a little bit more greedy, get a little bit more money, and that will really help his build as well. I feel like really improves the timing of the initial gateway, which will improve the timing of the adept move out that he will most likely do again. I have a feeling PiG will be more ready for it though. He tried to do a little trick with the Overlord drop last game. Didn't really work out because he was a bit off with the timing. But I feel like if he just builds 8 or 6 links, he should be able to get quite far ahead if he just drones up afterwards and then gets units at the correct time against the adepts with the glaive. So I would really like Rotti to switch it up a little bit, just switch the build up a little bit, confuse PiG, but I don't think we're going to see that. Roddy is a guy that really likes to do one thing and do it well, and he does his own thing as well. He doesn't copy from other players. He thinks about his own builds, and yeah, they do look quite strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you mentioned the kind of adept pressure that RotterdaM's been putting on. I feel like Blood Boil is, if there's not a War Prism accompanying the adepts, it can be a little bit easier to defend just because you really only have to worry about the adepts coming in from your 3rd expansion. If they want to get up to the main, if they want to get up to your in-base natural expansion, they have to go through that 3rd, that opening over there, unless they do something weird like knocking down the rocks or coming in through a Warp Prism, which RotterdaM really hasn't made any so far this series.
Yeah, didn't really need to either. Like the first game he couldn't, the second game he was so far ahead that he didn't really need a Warp Prism. He already caught PiG on his side of the map. We do see the exact same build once again by RotterdaM. This time the Twilight Council, however, is a bit more hidden. So PiG might not be able to see that at all. Mothership Core coming out. We don't see an Evo Chamber this time around, so PiG probably going to play a little bit more of a defensive game on Blood Boil, which would make sense.
Overlord's coming in. Good chance I might be able to spot this out, or is it just barely out of vision range? This is going to be really close. Oh, it does spot it out. Sees the Twilight Council chrono boosting the Resonating Glaives upgrade for those adepts. And the 2 adepts are making their way across the map. Alright, PiG should catch wind of this.
Yeah, PiG did see it, so he's moving back those 4 links that he already built. 4 more links popping from the natural base as well. Rotti hiding behind the watchtower, telling PiG, come and catch me, but I don't think PiG is dumb enough to go in there, and doesn't seem like it. So Rotti is just going to keep occupying the watchtower for a bit. There is actually a drop alert. Yeah.
Oh, PiG asking for a pause. Preparing himself mentally, collecting himself for the drop overlord and the damage he wants to get done. Last time, RotterdaM, as you mentioned, scouted this out nice and early on and was able to position his units properly and help deal with this much more easily. But seems like this game is going to go completely undetected, and there's even a Baneling Nest on the way behind this.
Yeah, that might just be for defense. So we see Rotti is kind of ready as well. It's the Mothership Core in the main base. There is an Adept in the main base as well, and Rotti should be able to spot this relatively soon. Basically, the moment PiG... it's just out of vision for RotterdaM, so a little bit unfortunate. At the same time, he's going into PiG's natural, snipes 1 drone, snipes a second one. He's probably going to get 1 or 2 more, which will be good. Warps in 2 adepts into his own natural to stop this link drop. This link drop is basically dead once again. So good little trade here for RotterdaM, who right now is up 5 workers, and he still needs to move out with this adept pressure. So PiG is going to have to build a lot more units, a lot more links, a lot more Bane links. He won't be able to drone up. I feel like this is a good position for RotterdaM once again. He won't be as far ahead as last game, but he's going to have a quite powerful push with those adepts. PiG is trying to get another drop into the main base, but the Mothership Core is still there with an overcharge. That's the real advantage of getting the Mothership Core that early. RotterdaM sees the drop happening now as the Forge finished up as well, so I feel like he should be capable of responding quick enough. And there we go, overcharge being popped, 2 adepts being warped in. Perfect response by RotterdaM.
Yeah, it's going to be held pretty easily. Now, the big advantage I would also say for PiG this game is that he does have the Baneling Nest much earlier than he's gotten in any other game. And by any other game, I mean, I haven't seen a Baneling Nest from PiG so far. He's also getting up a Roach Horn in conjunction with the Baneling Nest, so there's no Banelings that have actually been made.
Oh, 5 adepts getting called out in the middle of the map right now by PiG's Zergling. So that's a big loss for the push that Rotti really wanted to do. These adepts really scale well in numbers, but take a look at the income tab here. It's only 40 workers for PiG against 52 of RotterdaM.
Okay, well, oh god, that's actually quite a few Banelings being made. Might be able to catch some of the transferring workers at the 3rd expansion. There aren't too many probes there just yet, but PiG is getting ready to move in. He's got more Banelings coming in behind us. The Lings start flooding forward, and there's only Zealots really here to defend, but most of the Banelings going off on the Zealots, and now there's not that whole much left to actually help bust in through the rest.
Yeah, there really isn't. There's still a cannon into that 3rd base of RotterdaM as well, and PiG is quite all in with this, I want to say. He needs to kill a bunch of workers if he wants to get back into a macro game. There's one overcharge ready to pop. Rotti's saving it up for a little bit. 3 Zealot warping being used at the moment as well. Charge has finished. Good pickup there by the Prism of RotterdaM. And please pop the overcharge, Rotti. You have one. There we go. Waited for the Banelings to detonate so he couldn't just right-click the pylon that was overcharging. And I feel like this wasn't the best possible defense, but it's still okay for RotterdaM. He has pretty decent tech. He has +1 already done, and he has 2 prisms on the map in which he can warp in Zealots, and that's exactly what he is doing. Take a look at PiG's natural, or his 3rd base, excuse me, right now. 4 Zealots moving in, and where is the defense? Just isn't there.
Yeah, PiG has just been droning up behind this. Now, he does have 32 Lings on the way, but those Lings need to pop out soon because his Warp Prism harassment is going to be really annoying to deal with. PiG did also take a 4th and 5th expansion behind this, but even the 4th expansion under fire from the Zealots, more Zealots coming in, and the Warp Prism is just going to be so annoying to deal with.
Yeah, 3 more Zealots being warped into the 3rd base as well. PiG is definitely going to lose this 4th base, and he should really try to not lose the 3rd base as well, because that would put him in a similar situation of last game. Rotti right now heading for the 5th base. If he would have gone to the natural, I'm pretty sure he would have been able to get that, but of course RotterdaM can't know that. Picks up the Zealots from the 3rd base into the Prism. There's nothing that can kill the Prism here, though. There are 2 Queens on the map, one of it almost down, and he still needs to inject as well. So this is once again looking great for RotterdaM, who has 8 gates ready to warp in right now.
Yeah, he can continue this pressure at his own will, and of course all these Zealots are not really costing any actual gas, so he can continue teching up. He's getting up his +2 weapons, he's getting up his Templar Archives, he's getting up an Immortal, and even working away at another one of those bases. Zealots inside of that 3rd expansion, once again doing some more good drone damage. And 2 Warp Prisms that still managed to survive. Both of them able to maneuver around and put pressure in 2 different locations. Another massive warp in of Zealots. And by the way, for those who don't know, a Zealot will kill a Roach one-on-one, so you really do need some of the Banelings or some good micro to take them on.
Yeah, good little split-off there by RotterdaM. A couple of the Zealots just moving further in towards the 3rd to not get that damaged by the Banelings. There's actually a Zealot run by happening into the natural as well now, so Rotti is really fighting at every front. Double Archon warping into the 3rd base of PiG. In combination with a couple of Zealots, those can really take down the Roaches. Rotti at the same time is securing his 4th base, does have his +2 finished, is getting a couple of Immortals back at home, so Rotti's in a great position. Both of his Prisms still alive, and what is the future for PiG? So far it just looks like he wants to go into Roach Bane, but you're going to need more if you want to fight against Immortal Archon, especially if the upgrades are equal.
Harstem, there's only 1 Queen left that's injecting over inside that natural expansion, the more forward one. GG is going to get called, and RotterdaM takes the lead in the series, going up 2-1 in this best of 5.
Yeah, what an interesting strategy there by Rotti. Absolutely outplaying PiG in game number 3 of the final quarterfinals. That was some slick play, I can say.
Yeah,
I must
really
say.
good harassment. And I almost do wonder if that was just a bit of a Blood Boil specific thing to go so Zealot heavy on a map where, again, you are going to be a little bit limited in terms of your gas count. He was still able to tech up behind everything, but having double Warp Prism, I mean, Warp Prisms only cost 200 minerals, Harstem. Zealots only cost minerals. There's no gas involved in any of those attacks.
Yeah, there really isn't. So Good job there by Rotti, managing to take game number 3 on Blood Boy, which originally kind of was a Zerg map, but after the gold has been removed, I think it's a bit in the middle. Of course, you still don't have the gas on the natural, but definitely a good win here for RotterdaM. Let's take a look at what the next map is going to be.
It's going to
I
be
believe it's going to be Sequencer. Yeah.
Ooh, this is an interesting one, I think. So typically, my understanding, and please feel free to weigh in on this, Harstem. My understanding is usually I think of bigger maps really good for Zerg, but big maps oftentimes end up being pretty nice for Protoss players going for a lot of air armies or phoenixes tend to excel on really large maps. So how do you feel like this map is going to play out?
I think these days the larger map is actually better for Protoss because Protoss has the stronger late game. Zerg always tries to kill the toss. So the more time you have, the better it really is for the Protoss to try and survive, basically.
Okay. We'll see what ends up happening as we try and get into this next game. Now, RotterdaM has been putting on a good bit of aggression in that last game, but for the most part, I do feel like it's just been a lot of the adept harassment and everything, which I feel like will also be pretty effective on a map like Sequencer. There's always also those questions where on Blood Boil, we have the in-base natural expansion that has 10 mineral patches and 1 gas geyser, so it's a bit of a trade-off, but on this map, Sequencer, we sometimes see players taking the safer in-base expansion that the trade-off really is safety in exchange for the fact that you only have a limited number of mineral patches and a limited number of gas geysers. So it's a bit harder of a judgment call to make, I think. But all right, let's get a PiG into the game. Let Naruto know the score. 2-1 in favor of Roddy. Okay, well, while things are getting settled in, I want to remind you guys that, of course, this entire event has been made possible by some of the wonderful sponsors. Matcherino does have a page available. If we can get a link in the chat to the Matcherino page, you guys can find all sorts of awesome stuff, including not just the shirts that we keep talking so much about, but there are some other things available. I know Harstem offered some team games that were going to be available, and I think that there's also some coaching lessons and everything still available from the wonderful, wonderful TKL, as well as some arranged team games with him. I think almost all the other ones have been bought out, so still those Matcherino shirts available as well. If you guys are interested in any of these rewards, check them out. And of course, if you just want to contribute to the prize pool, that is also, of course, very much appreciated by everyone participating in this. Okay. Looks like we're getting a second. Seeing if RotterdaM has an ID that's not just the Notorious.
Yeah, he is logging off, so he most likely does.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll be getting started into that, but, you know, Harstem, this seems like a great opportunity to even up that score on our esports earnings guessing for prize money won. So
who's the final player?
You know, let's do Scarlet, since I saw that name mentioned in the chat. What do you think? Scarlet's prize money won.
103K.
Ooh, I'm gonna guess higher. I'm gonna guess 140K. All right, it is 180,000.
Oh my god, dinner for
wow. Yeah, man. All right, we still got a little bit of time until. Oh no, RotterdaM's here. Okay. So I guess we are getting ready to start on Sequencer. So far, you owe me dinner, but if we have some time, I mean, we still got quite a few matches left over. PiG versus RotterdaM, of course, only the first match. And as soon as PiG is ready, we can get started. But we also do have Artosis versus Todd coming up after this, and Yogo versus the winner of this particular series. So please stick around, and we'll be looking forward to having everyone join us for those games. We're going to decide whether or not we can play out the grand finals, depending on whether or not both of the people who win their semifinals matches are available to play the finals. For example, Artosis, it's getting pretty late for him, so maybe a bit difficult for him to actually play out the matches right now, but it's still a possibility for later on, especially if Todd ends up winning his match versus Artosis. But here
Yeah.
we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're hopping into it on Sequencer. Spawning up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have the orange Protoss player. Give it up for RotterdaM, who's sitting up 2-1. And his opponent, down here in the bottom left, we have the blue Zerg player. Give it up for PiG. So, mentioned that in-base third expansion, which we sometimes see. I know Todd took this expansion versus Zombie Grub yesterday as a bit of a safer expansion, but again, only 1 gas geyser, 6 mineral patches compared to the alternative, which is a bit more exposed, but it's 8 mineral patches, 2 gas geysers. And
Yeah,
ooh,
and
yeah, got it.
some
Cool.
yeah, a bit of an early pull. This might be for an all-in, but it could also just be for the 1717. And then just get his own hatchery, because this map is really long, so I don't think a roach all-in would be that powerful on this map. The thing it might do though is throw Rotti a little bit off guard, and Rotti did start a gateway and a gas instead of his Nexus first that he really wants to open up with. And PiG isn't going to be making a lot of Zerglings. It's going to be 2 Zerglings max, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly 2 Zerglings starting up right now, and then just going to get started on some of those queens for the larva injects. Again, not too surprising, but yeah, RotterdaM also playing it out nice and safe, getting up the Cyber Core before getting up his Nexus, starting up that Zealot once again, getting a Forge. Wow, that's kind of unusual.
I think he's just scared, honestly.
You know, he did go for the early scout, and he saw the early pool, but
It's not that early of a pool though. It was just
yeah,
a
it's
17
like 15
pool.
or 16. Oh yeah, 17.
So, yeah, this is a trick that rarely works, where you scout something which is a little bit off, and because it's a tournament, you think it's an earlier pool and you lose the game.
Oh, or maybe. Wait, is RotterdaM really convinced that this is a super early pool? He's getting up a photon cannon, but he also got up a Stargate before Mothership Core, and before his Nexus. Stargate before Nexus is pretty committed to the Stargate play.
PiG has got to be loving this at this point. I think PiG realizes what's happening, so he's going to keep playing around a little bit, you know.
Oh my god, the Zergling gets into the main base. It's gonna be able to scout out the Stargate.
Yeah, and the Nexus timing. I think that's going to make PiG a very happy man. Sees the Stargate indeed as well.
I don't think he's seen
most
the
likely
Stargate
going
yet.
to be an Oracle.
He will see the Stargate. Yeah.
Oh, second cannon going down in the mineral line. Well,
RotterdaM probably scratching his head at this point, saying, I really hope he doesn't just keep this Oracle at home. That would actually be the worst case situation if he thinks that this is just a very delayed Ling flood.
yeah, this is actually really sad, because he just completely misread the game, and it's going to be so rough for him to get back now. 28 probes against 38. 2 more drones on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like PiG is just going to keep on droning. He saw the timing of the Stargate. He saw the timing of the Warp Gate. This is just terrible.
I mean, at this point, PiG doesn't have any Lings out on the map. He's sure got those queens available for larva injects. And I guess he does have 3 queens out, so he should have enough to deal with the Oracle. It's making its way across the map, and he's going to scout out the 3rd, and I think this is going to be the moment of realization for RotterdaM, where he sees, oh, actually, you're pretty well saturated here, but there's not a lot of defenses.
Yeah, it confuses me a little bit. PiG throwing down 4 Spore Crawlers, try to get an Extractor as well to save these drones. Roddy gets 5 drones though, so that kind of puts him back into the game a little bit. He's still, I want to say, quite far behind. But it could be worse. He did get some kind of damage in. He's still very far behind, actually. He's still down 10 workers. 3rd just now starting. I think he's going to go into Airtles. Just full-on carrier.
But this is going to be so difficult. He's taking the safer in-base 3rd expansion, which only has 1 gas geyser. And especially if you go into the carriers, you also really care about those minerals, because carriers are not cheap on the mineral accounts either, with 350 minerals per carrier, and even the fleet beacon is pretty expensive in and of itself.
Yeah, but I think he should be capable of affording 3 Stargate carrier off of these bases. And the fourth base is very easy to take on this map as well, especially if you take the in-base one. So I'm not too worried about the money that he's getting. I'm just worried that he might just be too far behind. He's down like almost 20 workers.
Yeah.
So he's going to need to put a lot of work in with these Phoenix. If there's one guy that can do it, it's got to be Rotti.
Well, he's coming in with those Phoenix, finding a drone already. He's going to be looking for any additional ones he can find, as well as just the Overlords. I think those are going to be easier targets. But for now, one Phoenix getting very low on health. The creep spread for PiG is actually going to be very, very helpful right now. Getting it out, not just between his bases, but also a little bit further out to chase after some of those Phoenix.
Yeah, I must comment, it's pretty poor creep spread though. He's been untouched for basically 6 minutes. He has 6 queens.
That's
and
fair.
all we really have is, what is it? 3 or 4 active tumors right now, 7 tumors in total. So I really would like to see a better creep spread coming out of PiG. It's very important, especially against Airtos, to have the map covered in creep so you can put a lot of spores down. Maybe PiG's plan isn't to play the longer game, though. Maybe he just wants to kill him with Hydras and Banes. And that's a very real possibility this time around.
Yeah, the Baneling Nest is already finished up. He's got the Hydra Den also finished, but Phoenix come into the main base, actually finding quite a few drones. Killing 7 of them off, losing 1 Phoenix in exchange for it, but he also gets a scout out on the exact timing of the Hydralisk Den, and should be aware of the potential for a big Hydraling Bane attack.
Yeah, seems like Rotti isn't going to go full carrier, instead opting to get the Twilight Council, so it's going to be charge. I wouldn't be surprised to see +1 ground attack starting to be researched relatively soon as well. And even though I've been commenting that Rotti's position hasn't been looking too hot, he is kind of getting back into it. Take a look at the supplies, 92 against 105, so that's okay. But this is the time where PiG wants to start producing units. So we're going to see that supply rise very fast for him.
Well, the Phoenix are going to make it a little bit annoying for PiG to move out, just because as soon as he does move out with these Hydras, Phoenix are going to come in, try and ravage some of those mineral lines, and really only the Queen's going to be around to help defend. But 4th expansion is up, if for nothing else other than the additional larvas. It doesn't seem like he's droning it out too much, or even transferring workers there. Although I think he can, as soon as he feels safe about the Phoenix, is not going to just pick him up and kill him. 4th expansion going up for RotterdaM, as well as a big gateway flood.
Yeah, really wants to get into those charge, but on the other hand, we see PiG. Oh, actually, Rotti is getting a fleet beacon now as well. So this is going to play charge carrier, I guess, which is something I must admit I haven't seen before being played. So I'm curious how that's going to work out. Phoenix is trying to find an opening to get some damage in, and if PiG is out of position with his Hydras and these Phoenixes find a base, I think they're just going to fly over the spore, don't really care about it, pick up every single drone and kill it. And here we go, Rotti is moving into the main base of PiG, gets the Queen as well. These +1 Phoenixes, they don't joke around. They can even basically one-shot over, about 2-shot Overlords.
Oh.
So he's getting a bunch of Overlords, and he's going to pick up every single drone here, I feel like. 8, 9, 11, like infinite drones going down at this point. And PiG is feeling panicky. He doesn't know what to do with his main army. Wanted to attack, decided he really couldn't. So he's just, I guess he's defending. He still has 79 drones, by the way. So even though he lost 18 drones, he still has a very big drone count. But his supply isn't looking as healthy as before. First carrier has just started. +1 is already done for the air. If Rotti managed to get +2 and 2-3 carriers out, I don't think PiG can kill him anymore.
Yeah, the supplies have already evened up, and the Hydra's still going to have a hard time moving out across the map. The Phoenix is moving down toward that 4th expansion location. Seems like PiG is on to him, and he's trying to get his Hydras into position, but he's going to end up losing quite a few of these drones. He's going to lose the Queen, and like you said, PiG has quite a few workers and could afford to lose some, but the Phoenixes managing to pick off 2 or 3 of them at least and soften up a good rest of them. But right now, it's like you were saying, those carriers are really, RotterdaM's just trying to buy time for them.
Yeah, I don't think he really cares about losing 2 or 3 Phoenixes. As long as he can get those carriers up, he really should try to force PiG to go back, because I don't think he can hold an attack yet. Is there banelings in this army, actually? No, there's not a single baneling right now. There is centrifugal hooks. But if those charge bots catch those hydras in the middle of the map, they could be very, very dangerous for PiG. 10 banelings are on the way on the other side of the map right now, trying to do some kind of run-by into Rotti's fort base. RotterdaM flying over a couple of hydras, loses 2 phoenixes almost immediately. Does manage to pick up a couple more drones, though, on PiG's side of the map, loses 2 more phoenixes in return, but he's winning the time that he so desperately needs.
All right, here come the banelings. RotterdaM not reacting at all. Is going to end up losing quite a few of his workers. His entire saturation at that expansion gets obliterated down to 51 now. The phoenixes are still alive, and some of the carriers are starting to pop out, as well as +2 weapons. Oh, it's about halfway done, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be able to finish up in time. Finally, PiG has had enough. He's moving across the map, but does he need to wait for any more banelings to morph in, do you think?
He definitely needs to. He can't just fight these, 15 zealots with just pure Ling Hydra, especially in combination with a couple of carriers and these phoenixes, which can practically pick up half the hydras. He definitely needs some banelings. He's morphing about 10, so that should be capable of dealing with those zealots. And this is looking very scary right now for Rotti, trying to snipe down those overseers, but he doesn't seem to have a Dark Shrine ready. And here we go, banelings out of position, so zealots doing a lot of damage. Carriers putting in some good work as well. I think PiG is going to be able to be pushed back here by RotterdaM. Don't forget that he has a very large drone count, so even though he is up in supply, his army supply actually isn't that big. 2 more carriers popping right now, which makes the carrier count rise to 6. 18 more hydras on the way. And I believe PiG realized only about a minute ago that it actually was carriers, and we saw him build the infestation pit and the double spire, but he isn't really ready to deal with carriers. And if RotterdaM attacks within the next 1 to 2 minutes, I think PiG is going to have a terrible time defending.
This is also going to be a bit weird. PiG just took 3 new expansions as well, so investing a lot of his resources into that. He's got a big gas buildup, but is actually going to be lacking a bit in minerals if he wants to just pump out massive numbers of corruptors or something to help deal with that massive carrier army. But lucky for him, it seems like RotterdaM doesn't really want to move out across the map just yet, so he's buying himself a bit more time.
Yeah, RotterdaM starting +3 as well right now, and this is getting dangerous for PiG. PiG trying to do some kind of run-by onto the fort base of RotterdaM, but Stasis Ward shuts that down almost immediately, and now RotterdaM is on the move out, chasing down all those hydras. Phoenixes, of course, are great for that. With +2 attack, these hydras don't stand a single chance. They don't even have one carapace upgrade. 2 Stasis Wards being triggered once again. Big Zealot Warp, and I think he will be able to kill all of those hydras with those Zealots if the banelings decide to detonate on top of the probes. They don't, at least not all of them, so a couple of banelings still left. And I think PiG is just trying to win time here, because he needs to get those upgrades for the corruptors. He needs to get Neural Parasite as well, because without Neural, this is going to be a very rough fight for him. Instead, he's building 31 new hydras. I don't think this is the way to victory for PiG.
That's a really weird decision. I mean, that's going to be spending a good chunk of his bank on, as you were saying, hydras instead of any of those, the corruptors or any lair, or sorry, not lair, but spire tech units. There's the Ultros Cavern.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what that one is all about. Like, Ultras aren't that useful unless you have a bunch of infestors burrowed on the map with Neural Parasite. See a nice little run by with 5 zealots onto the, the 9th base of PiG, so that's not going to be too consequential. RotterdaM also taking down the 8th base of PiG. Tried to do something about the 7th base as well, but that didn't quite work out, so he's changing directions. But I feel like if Rotti attacks once the +3 finishes, what does PiG really have to defend? He has 95 drones, and RotterdaM's going to have only 50 probes, so his army supply is going to be massive. There's 1 carapace upgrade for those hydras, so the carriers are just going to absolutely chew through them very quickly. And it's nice that PiG has half the army on the other side of the map, the base trade, but there is 4 overcharges ready. There's a couple of cannons, and he can just warp in charge slots to defend that. He even leaves 1 carrier at home. Not sure if that's intentional, but I think Rotti has a too powerful army at this point. PiG is going to need a lot of corruptors to deal with this. 15 drones about to go down here, which actually is helping PiG free up some supply for those important air units.
Yeah, the kind of funny situation though is also that RotterdaM doesn't exactly have any new expansions. If he ends up losing this expansion, he is going to be cut off in terms of income. One of the carriers also running straight into the Hydras, ends up following the rest of the carriers, and the Zealots do manage to clean things up. And PiG, he's going to be losing his bottom right-hand expansion, even a High Templar. No Storm in the mix right now. He's got the Archon, sure, but not really going to be able to do too much versus the Corruptors. Actually, this is starting to look a little bit potentially dangerous for RotterdaM. If he's not able to replenish this army supply, PiG still has a bit of a bank.
Yeah, PiG does still have a bit of a bank, but once those spores go down, there's really nothing to tank for the Hydras, and there's still a lot of interceptors. There's 4 more carriers making their way across the map. In combination with these Phoenixes, these Hydras are not going to be enough. Oh, Rotti, keep attacking. I don't think RotterdaM realized what kind of situation he is in. He really should keep going at this point, even though PiG's income isn't that great. He is saturating another base on the left, is actually building another hatchery on the top left as well, and will most likely rebuild that bottom right base. So RotterdaM is, I feel like, on a bit of a clock. He really needs to try to end the game anytime soon, or take out some vital structures. In the middle of the map here, PiG tried to catch RotterdaM, but I think it's more like the other way around. RotterdaM catching PiG, and there go a big chunk of the Hydras. And the bank that we were talking about for PiG is practically non-existent at this point.
I almost wonder, do you think Infestors or something like along those lines would be helpful in this situation, going for the neural parasites? He's got a lot of gas he could make use of.
Yeah, he definitely should have done that about 5 or 6 minutes ago, but for some reason he keeps building Hydras over and over. He did build tank Corruptors, which were a lot more useful than the Hydras, but he stopped building them again for some weird reason. RotterdaM, however, is losing all of his Phoenixes right now and getting pulled apart a little bit by PiG here.
Yeah.
Supply's getting surprisingly close, but PiG is building up his bank again, as his income is still a lot higher than Rotti's. Rotti only on 37 workers right now.
2 carriers going down to a fleet of Hydras. A Void Ray also going to find the end of its life over here, as well as this expansion. PiG is starting to get some pretty good damage done, killing off one of the most important bases for RotterdaM. Another base is being established. He's down to just 30 workers, though, and even the Interceptors are going to be hard to replace if he's not mining at all.
Yeah, he still has plenty of minerals on the third base that he has, though, so I don't think the interceptors will be an issue. And finally, Rotti is pushing across the map with basically everything he has, minus the 3 carriers that are still trying to defend his natural. This might just be enough, actually. We only see 4 Corruptors on the way, 26 Hydras, but these carriers are extremely powerful. There's still only 1 Carapace upgrade, and there's also 3 Archons, which will be able to tank for those carriers. He is sending those Archons away to snipe a base right now, so that might be a little bit scary for these carriers.
Okay, well, Hydras are all bunching up, getting ready to defend potentially the main base, as that is where all the tech is, which I really don't think PiG wants to have to try and replenish at this point. He's trying to save up his bank for any units he can make, as many Corruptors, but Carrier's not actually going to go for the jugular there. They're going up, cutting up to the top left-hand side and taking out any of the newer expansions that PiG is trying to establish, but PiG establishing another expansion on the right-hand side of the map. It's going to take a long time for the carriers to make their way over there, maybe buying PiG enough time to do something with these other 2 expansions.
Yeah, I'm not sure if RotterdaM should really go out of his way to kill that top left base. He could just send 3 or 4 Zealots there, and that should be good enough. He is losing a lot of time, and PiG is the one that is mining, and I think PiG finally realized what the unit of choice is going to be. It's going to be the Corruptor, and Corruptors are a lot scarier than Hydras are. Getting +2 Carapace right now for Zerg Flyer as well. 7 more Corruptors on the way, which will basically raise the count to 15. 15 Corruptors are definitely a significant amount of Corruptors. Not sure if it's going to be enough, with the Archon count being at 4 as well, but it's definitely going to be a big help, and Rotti really needs to start pushing out across the map with all of his carriers and all of his Archons in combination, because I'm fearing for his life right now, and that's not really the situation he wants to have.
Yeah, the carriers and the Archons are moving in. I love how PiG is playing this out, just constantly taking expansions on opposite sides of the map, making it so difficult for RotterdaM to make the choice of, do I kill your expansions or do I just go for your army? These carriers, these Archons, they're all so immobile, and you can see he kills off 1 expansion and is now still afraid that there's going to be a counterattack, potentially killing off one of his own expansions, his only mining expansion right now.
Yeah, I don't think PiG should actually try and go in here. That seems like a mistake. PiG is still completely outmining RotterdaM at every... Yeah, for the past 15 minutes, it feels like. Let's not forget how this game started with the terrible... it actually was a terrible start for Rotterdam. Rotterdam really managing to come back into the game. Let's not forget about that. But right now, I feel like it's slipping away from him. PiG on 62 drones against the 27 probes of Rotterdam. Top left is being re-established. Actually, 2 bases in the top left are being re-established. The bottom right is mining. There's a base near the 5 o'clock expansion as well, but in the middle of the map. So PiG is really getting in a better position, but every second that passes starts chitinous plating as well as pathogen gland. So finally going to this ultra and infestor combination.
Oh,
getting caught out off guard a little bit though.
Oh, he's gonna lose all of the Hydras. He's on a regular move command in the wrong direction. Could this be a little bit too costly to recover from? He is doing a substantial amount of damage to the Corruptors, killing off the only mining base of RotterdaM, who doesn't even have enough to build another Nexus. He's gonna have to long distance mine for that, but Zealot's also doing a run by in the bottom right. Looks like the Spine Crawler and the Lings will be enough to clean them up, but now PiG has to deal with this massive air army with only, what, 6 Hydras and 13 Corruptors. That's almost a Corruptor per carrier at this point. Almost.
Yeah, that's definitely not that great. Massive error there by PiG. The idea behind it was good. Try to get the army out of position, but I don't think he intended to lose 35 Hydras for a Nexus. And if that was the intention, that was a terrible plan. But I really don't think that was the intention. Here we go. I think Rotti realizes what kind of position he's in right now. He's barely mining. He has 10 carriers and he has 5 Archons. Just go for the kill, Rotterdam. Just go for the tech. Go for the main base. Go for the throat. Stop caring about all of these expansions around the map. They're not important for you right now. Your army is like 5 times the size, man.
Every second that he gives PiG is another unit that PiG can actually make that RotterdaM is not really also replacing. RotterdaM, he's starting to build up enough minerals to maybe eventually build the Nexus. But yeah, he's going after these expansions. Once again, the expansions that's not even mining. I will say, though, the one big difference between this situation and the situation maybe 5 minutes ago when the same sort of thing was happening is that PiG only has 28 workers right now. And this is going to be the final fight. But PiG he's going to be able to kill off maybe 2 carriers. I don't even think the second carrier is going to go down.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So there's about 5 Corruptors left right now. There's a bunch of Hydras, but those Hydras have been useless all game. Why would they start being useful right now? There's no reason for that. There's still 6 Archons on the map. Combination with those 8 carriers, this is looking terrible for PiG. And it looks like our Dutch Protoss hero is going to make it into the semi-final.
Yeah, it's looking to be in a really good spot. PiG not giving up, though, just yet. He's done a hard-fought battle for 23 minutes. And he's not going to try just let this game slip away from his fingertips that easily. Well, Lings do run into the main base. I mean, he's got some Corruptors there. He might just try and go full-on base trade. He's banking some minerals, and he's going to try and run away these drones. He could try and make hatcheries all around the map. This is a very immobile army, but eventually, RotterdaM can just try and say, I will defend my Nexus with 3 or 4 carriers and maybe some of the Archons, and the rest of them are just going to go around the map hunting down any of the remaining buildings.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this probably is the best play for PiG, but I don't think this is going to work out. The supply is just too low. Rotti could split his army in 4 portions and still be able to take on the main army of PiG with every single one. So I really don't see any way of this working. Rotti moving back with every single carrier, and Hydras aren't known for their high speed, so chasing them won't be that big of an issue for Rotti. Archons trying to get some damage in on those Hydras. Corruptors in the main, but the cooldown on the caustic spray is incredible. I believe something like, 20 or 25 seconds? Might even be longer. It was actually 32 seconds.
Oh,
so
these are the last 4 drones. This is actually, yeah, that's going to be it. GG gets called. RotterdaM taking the 3-1 over PiG. Moving on to the semifinals of face-off versus Yogo. Now, Harstem, I don't know if you saw this earlier on, because I know we were both watching RotterdaM stream a little bit, but RotterdaM was saying he felt like he had a 7% chance, to quote him, 7% chance of beating PiG and beating Yogo. He's done half of the job now. If he beats Yogo, that 7% chance is going to become a reality.
Yeah, man. 7%. Man, Trump had 2%. He made it work, man. Is RotterdaM the modern day Trump, the StarCraft Trump? He might be beating the odds, and this is crazy.
It's very
I'm
much a
a-
possibility.
Yeah, I'm a happy Dutchman here.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be hopping to a break before we hop into our next series, which will be Artosis versus Todd. The winner of that is going to be moving on to the grand finals to face off versus the winner of Yogo versus RotterdaM. So we got 3 Protoss in the semifinals. Please don't go anywhere. And of course, during the break, I highly recommend you guys go check out the Matcherino page. You can find all sorts of awesome stuff, including those great t-shirts and of course, EsportsEarnings, which has a great website. Currently, I am in the lead in Harstem and I guessing how much money different pro players have earned, but I think we'll still have some time left for some more. So, Harstem, you may not owe me that dinner just yet. We'll be back in a little bit. Stay tuned.